By the mid-2010s, the wireless audio industry had made real progress on two fronts. Digital audio had eliminated the need for a compander and had simultaneously improved spectrum efficiency. And at the high end of the market, wider tuning ranges were beginning to address the flexibility problem that spectrum reallocation had exposed. But there was still a third challenge, one that persisted at every price tier below the flagship level. To understand it, let's talk about wireless system management and how it actually works. Getting frequencies set up before a show is honestly pretty approachable and has been for a while. You hit scan, the receiver finds a clean frequency in the current RF environment, and you sync the transmitter to that same frequency. Shure's systems also organize frequencies into pre-calculated groups, compatible sets of channels where the intermodulation math has already been done for you. So you pick a group, you run a scan, and your channels are coordinated without any manual calculations. For larger, more complex deployments, high channel counts, multiple system types sharing the same space, big touring or broadcast rigs, Shure's wireless workbench or software from other companies can give you a deeper level of control. Those software centralize monitoring across all your receivers. They handle and coordinate group scans, and they let you manage the whole system from a laptop. But here's where things get harder, and this is a problem that receiver software alone can't solve. What happens when interference appears mid-show? Another wireless system turns on in the building next door, or a second production crew shows up and starts running wireless gear on your frequencies. Suddenly, one of your channels is compromised, and you need to push a new frequency to the transmitter. But that transmitter is currently clipped to the performer's belt on stage in the middle of a performance. You can't just walk out there and grab it without being seen by the audience, and that's something you generally would like to avoid. The performer knows that something is wrong, their audio just dropped out, but they have no idea why, and there's really nothing they can do about it. Wireless Workbench and similar software could show you the problem in real time, which is helpful, but what it couldn't do was push a frequency change to the transmitter over the air. That last step always required someone to physically intercept the transmitter, and during a show, again, it's something you would really like to avoid if you can. ShowLink was Shure's solution, and it's been around longer than you might think. The concept goes all the way back to the original analog Axient systems, which Shure introduced in the early 2010s. That system included automatic backup frequency management and interference avoidance. The idea that the system itself could respond to RF problems without the engineer manually intervening. ShowLink, the bidirectional communication link between receiver and transmitter, was central to how it worked. Instead of just sending audio from transmitter to receiver, you also establish a persistent two-way control channel between them. You still do an IR sync at the start, that initial setup where you hold the transmitter in front of the receiver to sync the frequencies between the two. But once paired, the receiver can push parameter changes to the transmitter wirelessly in real time. Change the frequency, adjust the gain, lock the controls, update the firmware, all without physically touching the transmitter, all without the performer or audience knowing anything even happened. When Shure launched Axient Digital in 2017, they combined that ShowLink capability with full digital audio and wide tuning range in one flagship system. It became the standard for the biggest productions in the world. Major award shows, Super Bowl halftime performances, and Broadway. If you've watched a major televised live event in the last several years, there's a good chance ShowLink was working quietly in the background. But Axient Digital is a top-of-the-line system with a top-of-the-line price tag. The SLX-D line, Shure's more accessible digital system since 2012, offered excellent audio quality with digital audio, but didn't include ShowLink. The SLX-D, launched in 2020 at an even more accessible price point, also digital, but no way to reach the transmitter once it's on a performer. That's another key improvement that comes with the recent SLX-D Plus lineup. ShowLink Ease brings the same approach down to a price point that's accessible to vocalists, guitarists, church audio teams, and smaller production companies. You still do the IR sync per transmitter at the beginning of the setup, but that's the last time you physically touch it. If interference appears mid-show, the system can automatically detect it and push a new frequency to the transmitter without anyone running on stage to grab it. And you can monitor and manage the whole thing from Shure's Wireless Workbench mobile app on your phone or tablet. For a house of worship volunteer managing a wireless rig, that's the difference between a stressful Sunday morning and a smooth one. Okay, maybe you'll still have other things to stress you out, like mic feedback and the other usual suspects, but it's a big improvement. And it's the same core capability, bidirectional remote transmitter control, that's been keeping things smooth on the world's biggest stages for over a decade, now built into a system that doesn't require a dedicated access point or a world-class budget. It's worth quickly noting that ShowLink Ease uses Bluetooth rather than the Zigbee-based protocol used by traditional ShowLink. Different implementations to achieve the same core capability. So, back to that show that's starting in 20 minutes. The vocalist, the guitarist, the pastor, the presenter, they don't care about spectrum auctions. They don't care about compander artifacts or intermodulation math. They just want to move freely, sound great, and do their job. Every single development we've talked about in this video, digital audio, wider tuning bands, remote management, exist to serve that simple goal. And every remaining challenge is just the next problem the industry is currently working to solve. All of this history has brought us to a point where even more affordable systems like SLX-D Plus include real solutions to problems engineers have been wrestling with for decades. And that's genuinely exciting.